Yeah, so, what I didn't want to do is, yeah, as I thought about it yesterday, the Juneteenth federal holiday, what I didn't want to do was produce a video and and serve to kind of denigrate those people that celebrated Juneteenth. If you celebrated it, awesome. More power to you. I don't hold it against you or anything. That's fine. I don't judge nobody. You do what you do. It has nothing to do with me, right? What I did want to do is sort of a level set, right? The problem is that we don't control the dictionary. We don't control the literal definitions of words, right? We don't control, and we haven't controlled over time, the meanings of words. And so what happens is, over time, words change and those meanings change. And history is rewritten based on popular misconception in many cases, and based on redefinition and a reshuffling of the definition of words that happens over time. So it is important to do a level set simply because many just don't know, right? They haven't studied, right? The majority of the information that's passing isn't necessarily true. It's just being repeated over and over and over again. But there isn't a true level set. Okay. So Juneteenth, why? Why do I focus on that? Because again, it just passed yesterday. It was created as a federal holiday. And I just think that there needs to be a level set to understand a few different things, right? That I think are very clearly misunderstood or not really recognized. First of all, before the passing of Emancipation Proclamation, passed locally in different areas were what was called anti-vagrancy laws. And what the anti-vagrancy laws established was that if you didn't have $3 in your pocket and identification and an address where you were from, you could be locked up for vagrancy. And so this went into place before the Emancipation Proclamation. Now, Emancipation Proclamation, how many have read it, right? It is important to note, and I encourage you, go look at it for yourself. Don't take my word. It is important to note that the Emancipation Proclamation was not drafted to free the slaves. It was the very first time in any American document or any written form that slavery was mentioned. It was the first time it was actually recognized. And in that, it was legitimized as a form of punishment. It was not outlawed. Please read the Emancipation Proclamation. It was not outlawed. Okay? They didn't end slavery. Okay? They made it permissible as a form of punishment. That is what the Emancipation Proclamation did. Now, the word freedom, I would really, really like to know if anyone can define. Now, again, bearing in mind that there is a connotation and a denotation to every word, right? So the connotation is what it means to you. When you think of this word, what it means to you. That is the connotation, okay? The denotation is the literal definition of a word. Okay, so what I'm asking for is the literal definition of the word freedom. What is freedom? Okay? And the problem is that, again, it's very easy for us to go and we can celebrate Juneteenth. And we can rattle it off because we've heard it in memes and we've seen people speaking about it. And so now we're educated and we can speak about what Juneteenth is and what it means, right? And each of us very quickly say, and they say it on the news and they say, this is when the slaves were freed. What is freedom? Please, anyone, answer that question. What is freedom? What is the literal definition of freedom? While I wait for somebody to answer that, the assumption that freedom came to be in 1865, the assumption that we were given freedom would in turn contradict Martin Luther King's relaying of a dream. I have a dream that one day, right? Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we're free at last. Was he just wrong? Off his rocker? He was crazy? He didn't know what he was talking about? What was he talking about? If he was talking about a dream of being able to say free at last, and he was doing that in 1960s, right? And we were freed in 1865. Was he just crazy? He didn't know what he was talking about? He was wrong? Or maybe he's right when white people repeat his dream. Maybe then it makes sense, right? Maybe then there's some validity to his talking about freedom, right? When white people say, oh, his dream, he had a dream, right? When they talk about the dream, then the dream means something. It's worth consideration. But when we mention the dream, when we mention him speaking of freedom and relaying a dream of freedom and not being able to point to anything that happened between then and now to produce that freedom, was he simply crazy? Right? Was he wrong? All the posters and the pictures and I have a dream and all the rest of that. Was he crazy? Was he wrong? What about Malcolm X? Was he wrong when he was saying that we were not Americans, that Plymouth Rock landed on us? That we were victims of Americanism? Was he wrong? Was he mistaken? He was just crazy, didn't know what he was talking about. What about if we go back further, right? When we talk about freedom, what about Huey P. Newton, right? What about George Jackson, right? What about Bunchy Carter, right? What about Fred Hampton, right? What about Geronimo Pratt? Let's go back further. Let's look at Noble Drew Ali. What did he say? Did he say we were free? Was it freedom that he was clinging to, right? What about Elijah Muhammad? Did he claim that we were free, right? Or was he speaking about freedom too? No. Okay, let's think about Booker T. Washington. Was he speaking about the freedom that we had? Were we free, right? According to him, at that time, did we have freedom? Booker T. Washington, he was wrong too. So what has happened is the programming of the current popular repeated thought allows us to accept a thing that is a lie as if it is truth. And then we build upon that lie, right? As if freedom came to pass. Please. I still have not seen anybody type in the definition of the word freedom. Maybe I'm not looking at this client correctly. That is absolutely possible. But I've not seen anyone type in the definition of the word freedom. The literal definition, not what it means to anyone, but the literal definition. What is the literal definition of the word freedom? Right? This shouldn't be so hard. We celebrated Juneteenth. What was Juneteenth? That was the day that we got our freedom, right? So this shouldn't be so hard. If you're claiming with your mouth that you gain freedom, then please tell me that you can define what freedom means, right? Please tell me that you can define what is freedom, the literal definition, right? The literal definition of the word. So we go back and we see that Booker T. Washington, according to his words, we weren't free. Frederick Douglass was speaking about freedom. We find that Marcus Garvey, Elijah Muhammad, Noble Drew Ali, Geronimo Pratt, Bunchy Carter, George Jackson, Huey P. Newton, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King all spoke about freedom. But today, we listen to the popular words. Who do you think that put these words in your mouths? Who do you think it is that put these words into your mouth that would have you speaking to each other about what Juneteenth means? And yo, and how relevant it is, and that they created a federal holiday. Who do you think put this into your mouth? And as long as they can get you to saying, oh, it was the day we got freedom, it's the day we got freedom, you begin to make the lie a truth, and history writes over what is actual, right? Writes over what is actual. Let's do a little restate, right? A restate for historical accuracy. What we know is the anti-vagrancy laws were passed before the Emancipation Proclamation. Okay? And those anti-vagrancy laws locked black people up. So the moment they went to practice their freedom based on the Emancipation Proclamation, the local anti-vagrancy laws allowed the police to collect anyone that walked off the plantation that didn't have $3 identification and an address. And when they arrested them, they then sold them back to that very same plantation owner at cost. And this is how they were able to bleed those plantations. When the industries associated with agriculture and cotton dried up, this is how the local government was able to bleed the property owners and the plantation owners until they had nothing, because they then sold the same people back. So those people one day were working for free for that plantation owner. And then the next day, those people got word that they were free, that they were emancipated, and they were able to walk off. And when they walked off, the police arrested them and then sold them same people back to the same place where they had been working for generations at cost, which slowly and surely bled the plantation owner. The conversation was very simple. Well, you got sweet potatoes in the field. What you gonna do? You can't pick them. Your children ain't gonna pick them. What you gonna do? We got people ready to do it. You know them. You know them. Right? We got people ready to do it. It's gonna cost you this much. It's not that hard. You can pay me over time, but you gonna pay me for this. Right? And this is how it happened. So, to be completely honest, they were not made free. Again, I want you to tell me the definition of the word freedom. I want you to tell me the definition of the word freedom, since we use it so loosely, right? Not what it means to you. What is the literal definition of the word freedom? Okay? So, before the Emancipation Proclamation was passed, we found the anti-vagrancy laws that created a new form of slavery. Secondarily, second historical point, that if you read the Emancipation Proclamation, all it did was legitimize slavery as a form of legitimate punishment. It did not make slavery illegal. It did not outlaw slavery. It did not free the slaves. That is not what the Emancipation Proclamation did. The Emancipation Proclamation, for the very first time in U.S. history, placed the word slavery on its books. That's what it did. And it legitimized it as a form of punishment. So absolutely everything that's floating around, right? All the conversation surrounding Juneteenth and what it means to me and all of the rest of this is actually working counter to us as a people, because the assumption is that we were made free. Now let's, again, I know you haven't, I've told you not to look it up. Go ahead, look up the word freedom. Look up the word freedom. And then tell me if it applies to us. Now, while you're doing that, while you look up the word freedom and tell me if it applies to us, what I'm gonna ask you is, if somebody can give you freedom, can it be given to you? Can it be legislated, mandated, voted upon? Can another man give you freedom? Can it be begged for? Can you buy it? What is freedom? And how is it attained? right? So the Emancipation Proclamation happened. It didn't specifically free the slaves. Further, can a man free another one? Has that ever happened in history? Has somebody freed another people? Huh? How did it happen? How did the Jews get freed from their Holocaust in Germany? How did that happen? Did it just, they wave a flag? Is that how it happened? How does freedom get won? When America won her freedom from Britain, how did that happen? How did it happen? Was there just a flag and they signed some papers and now you're free? How did it happen? How does freedom occur? But for us, freedom happened, what? Because of the Emancipation Proclamation? So the white man gave you your freedom? Is that freedom? Look up the word, please, again. Look up the word freedom again, please. Is that freedom? What he gave you in 1865. Was that freedom? How do you gain freedom? How do you have freedom? How is it attained? For anyone, for anything. How is a lion free? How is a gorilla free? What makes him free? What is the definition of freedom? And if you don't have it, why is all this glitter pulling your eye? See, for a thing that doesn't have freedom, whether it be the lion or the gorilla, whether it be the Jew in their Holocaust, whether it be any people, whether it be the pilgrims in North America, when they don't have their freedom, what's the one thing on their mind? What's the one thing that they're willing to give life or limb for? Animals will chew their own arm off in order to be free. In order to be free. Right? So, again, I just ask you very basic questions, and share a very quick, 20 minutes? 20-minute reflection through history. And again, any of those things that I have said, any of the history that I have relayed that is incorrect, please correct me. I'm not a proud man. There's no pride associated with this. I can't be proud as a non-free man. I can't afford pride as a man that does not have his freedom. You understand? So there's no pride. If I'm wrong, I'll admit to being wrong. But if I'm not wrong, then what we need to do is really clearly understand what freedom is and understand that it remains the goal. The same goal that Martin Luther King relayed in a dream. The same goal that Malcolm X spoke to. The very same goal that each and every single one of our leaders for over a century have spoken to. Freedom. You thought we had it. We've just gone through an exercise to prove that it never came to pass. And it cannot simply come to pass. It doesn't happen like stars in the sky when the night goes dark. That's not how freedom happens. You earn it. You produce it, or you will not have it. And that has been our problem right up until 2023. We are unfortunately slaves to our comfort. We are slaves to our comfort. And that is a major problem. Right now, there's no one holding a whip. There's no one that has shackles on your feet. And yet, you remain subjugated. Subjugated. Look at the definition of the word freedom. You remain subjugated. You remain subject to whoever it is that controls your food, clothing, shelter, water, healthcare, security, sanitation, education, utilities, and economy. You are subject to that person. For if any of those things are taken away from you, you die. It's not a subjective statement. There's that word subject again. It is not a subjective statement. It doesn't apply to just me or you or in Milwaukee or in Cincinnati, or it doesn't apply just in America or in South America. No. It's not subjective because it's a fact. It is a fact 100% across the board. There is not one degree where it is not true. This makes it a fact. Okay? So that fact that we are subject to whoever it is that controls the essential needs that keep us alive is further the direction surrounding how does one get free. The same answer there is the answer to how to be free. That's it. Again, my hope is somebody, yeah, right? There's a lot of misinformation, misunderstanding, and certainly an abhorrent lack of true study. There's so few people that have actually done history. People don't know. Like, too many people have an opinion and they never read the Emancipation Proclamation. If you haven't read the Emancipation Proclamation, shut up. You don't know. Read it for yourself before you go strongly supporting one thing or another. You have no idea what it is you're talking about. If you can't define the word freedom, why are you saying it? Why are you telling white folk that we have it? You don't even know what it is. You don't even know what it is. So, one of the first things that Malcolm did towards his evolution was he read the dictionary. Do that. Sit down and read the dictionary so that you stop using words without actually knowing what you are saying. Because what's happening is they're picking up on it. So right now, there's a Juneteenth celebration. Listen to the conversation that's happening out there. That Juneteenth means that's your reparations, right? That's to say, we freed you. We are great. We're magnanimous. Aren't we great? We freed you. Did they free you? But are you free? What's the definition of the word free? Did they free you? Can someone else free you? Can a man give you freedom? So, our walking around, embracing this bullshit and speaking it and sounding so woke and conscious and saying all these words is actually doing us a disservice because it allows them to come back and say, oh, well, you're free, as if it were true, right? And so, again, my hope is that this has been helpful. It has been an illustration of historical precedent, what happened, how it happened, what it meant, right? And a walk back through our greatest leaders and what they said. So, again, what they're saying today makes no difference. Either Martin Luther King was a fool when he said he was dreaming of being able to say free at last, thank God Almighty we're free at last, or you've been hoodwinked. You've been bamboozled. You got the word freedom on your lips, but you don't even know what it means. You don't know when it came or if it came. You have no idea if you are an owner of it or just saying the words. This is the problem. This is the problem. Yo, that's it. That's all. Peace. I hope it helps.